Go, boy!
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Move 3BG movie review. And rolling solo this time around, it's me, CJ here, um, talking all about Creed 3. Um, this is the directorial debut of Michael B. Jordan, and the anime influence in this film is very strong. Um, and your miles are going to vary on that. And this is why I say this. So, the Creed films have always been a very engaging film. The first two films very engaging, and there was always that layer of Rocky addition to it. The first Creed movie, we see Adonis trying to get out the shadows of Apollo Creed. Then, Creed 2, him dealing with the whole thing with Drago and Drago killing his dad and having to face his son. So with Creed 3, this feels like the first time we're actually getting Adonis without none of the Rocky stuff attached to it. And it works. Uh, Michael B. Jordan made a very, during doing the rounds of press, mentioned a lot of anime influence in this movie and very much a lot of Hajime no Ippo uh, homages in this film. In fact, it kind of mirrors that. But more than anything else, this movie is very straightforward and it has the simplicities of what anime is. And I think taking that inspiration from anime fits Creed 3 perfectly. It's a very straightforward narrative. Adonis has been pretty much thriving as a boxer. He's fighting his last fight and he's going into retirement and just, his pretty much he's been fulfilled. He's been happy about what's everything's happening. And a childhood friend of his, Damien, comes resurfaces and Adonis ends up helping him out, getting him back into boxing because Damien used to be a really good boxer that had promise. He ends up going to jail, which the movie does a good job of pretty illustrating what really happened. I know for some, if you're watching this, some people might think that they kind of lingered it a little too long. I don't think it does. I think it does a good job of kind of leaving it up to mystery about what happened. Even though you could probably put two and two together on that. But anyways, um, Damien ends up having a hidden agenda that ends up putting them, Damien and Adonis on like a collision course of having a boxing match. And that's the pretty much the, you know, simplicity of the story. That's a story in a nutshell. Nothing too crazy. It's interesting too because Damien as a character, on one hand, on the surface, he has very clubber laying aspects to him. And what I mean by that is like when Damien really is showing out and showing how vicious he is, whether it's him working out or him boxing, you see it. You see that clubber laying aspect to him, the rawness, him really getting the hunger and all that stuff. It's oozing out of him. And I remember, the promotion of this movie going forward, I was like, well, Clubber Lane's kid, and then it turns out it's not the case. But like that aspect of that character is in Damien. But then there's the other side of Damien where there's this sort of resentment of what happened between him and Adonis. And it's that sort of relationship between Adonis and Damien that the anime influence comes out because we've seen this type of story before where, your protagonist and antagonist are kind of button heads and there's some sort of backstory that put them on this collision course getting together and stuff. And when you see it, like I said, again, it's very straightforward, but like the movie does a good job of while you do feel bad for Damien, you're not necessarily rooting for him per se. You're kind of like, okay, I get why you feel the way you feeling, but hey, I'm rooting for Adonis. But you are invested in the emotional aspect of this fight between these two. And I think that in and of itself is what makes Creed 3 in terms of the boxing match much stronger because there's no weight of Apollo this time around. It's Adonis on his own and him finally relishing like his achievements, and him and Damien going at it is just based off of what could have been for Damien in comparison to what Adonis has accomplished. And that in and of itself is why I feel this movie is great. Um, and past that, we get the relationship with Adonis and his mom and how that relates to Damien, because there's definitely a subplot with that, which I thought was pretty interesting. And even down to his girl Bianca and his kid, you see his family life being really good, and seeing his kid, like starting to come into her own as wanting to be like her dad. And there's a little bit of a relationship between the daughter and father in this movie too, which I thought, again, thought it was really great. Um, but I think overall, it's for a directorial debut, this was actually a pretty strong showing. Um, and there's definitely some decisions that Michael B. Jordan did in terms of certain scenes, and when you see it, particularly with Damien and Adonis going at it, it's actually definitely different than what we've seen in typical boxing fights in movies and such. And I think that it was actually really good. Um, but yeah, overall, it's not bad of a directorial debut. I don't want to, bless Michael B. Jordan as like, oh my God, he needs to direct everything. No, it's a good start. I think, again, him being inspired by anime in terms of the overall direction of this movie, it works for something like this, a sports movie, because sports and anime goes hand in hand and it just hits. So I'm curious to see what Michael B. Jordan does in, say, another movie, whether it's an action movie or whether it's a drama movie or comedy. I'm curious to see how he takes what he's learned in this movie and really parlay it into something else. Like I said, Jonathan Majors, phenomenal in this movie, alongside of every other role he's been in. If you ever listen to our Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania review, we praised him in that. He's really good in this. Um, and like I said, the whole cast is solid all around. So definitely check out Creed 3. It's worth it. And yeah, catch you guys later. Peace.
That boy is Benny Hanna.